This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Today, I have Mark Talukdar. He's a business coach, and if you've been following me for a while, you might recognize that name. Maybe not recognize his face and his body that much because he has come through an amazing transformation. And I'm going to let him tell you more about that. But first, Mark, how are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. In Puerto Rico, the weather is kind of weird right now because it's like rainy, but still hot. But I mean, still beautiful tropical island, right? So I can't complain too much.
Listen, I'm jealous.
Where are you located right now?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Well, really humid and hot too. So in that part, you can relate.
Yeah. Well, it's about to get worse here as the summer kicks in. You know, it gets pretty bad. So I don't know how hot it gets in Puerto Rico, but at least with the beach, I'm hoping it's a little bit better, right?
I don't know. It gets really hot, because of humidity, right? That it complicates things how it feels. But then, being able to go to the beach and rivers and all that, it obviously makes the heat more tolerable for sure.
Yeah. Hey, whatever helps.
Yeah. So let's kick it off with a quick introduction about yourself and your company.
Yeah. So I'm a business coach specializing in sales and marketing. I'm a trained engineer. After doing many, many years of engineering work and project management work, I became a professional consultant. And after being a professional consultant for many years, I was living in New York City. And I decided to kind of start my own business, teaching everything that I learned, sales, marketing, building systems, growing businesses. So that was kind of my foray into business coaching because, as with fitness, we'll talk about a little bit, there's a plethora of information out there, but people don't know what to do. And when I started my business coaching journey, when I wanted to build my own business, it was kind of in the same place where I was when I started my fitness journey. There's so much information, but you don't know what to do. So in a way, with my business coaching, I try to help myself in the past, right? If I found myself back in the day, what would I need? What would I offer, as a coach to that person? So that's what it's all around.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what human evolution, human growth is all about. In my opinion, it's you go through a path, you clear that path. Now it's like, hey, this is a good path. I found a good path. Let me go and tell the others, right? It's a very primitive thing if you think about it, right? Like, and that applies to almost any industry, any topic, right? That's why coaches are so important, because it's okay. Do I want to have some help to, okay, there's already a path that you can follow and maybe customize it a little bit along the way, but to try to make it better, right? Like, we always want to keep improving, but you save so much time and effort by having someone guide you, especially if they are at the level that you want to be or at the position that you want to be, right? They're doing things that are similar to what you want to accomplish. So that definitely helps. And that applies for like all areas of life, not just business. So
yeah. And you brought up a good point about saving time, but it also saves money. I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics. I have a master's degree in IT. I have a Lean Six Sigma business consultation certification, black belt. And I've spent years and years and years getting formally educated. God knows how much money. But today, as a business coach, I know what small percentage of that you actually need to know to do the work. So that's where coach also comes in. Not only saves you the time, whatever 6, 7, 8 years it took me of formal education, I can teach that in 10 weeks, 12 weeks, depending on what you want to do, but also money, because education these days is so expensive. A bachelor's degree, a master's degree, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whereas when you hire a coach, the person is for a fraction of the cost, and they tell you exactly what you need to know so that you can get the transformation done as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Learn from the mistakes, and learn from all the money, right? It's co- compacting, right? Like that's what you pay for an accelerated program, coaching, things like that. Because did you want to take 3-4 years, maybe even more, and put them in 6 months to a year? Now, that's why do you invest on that? Like, do you have the money? Saving time is our most valuable asset. You can always make the money back. So that's why it's such a great investment, as long as you surround yourself with the right people, right? And
Absolutely.
we talked a little bit offline about your transformation, right? And how that applies to your life in general and to business, and how you apply this same concepts that you use in business to teach your clients, also for your own transformation. So if you can give us a little bit about that story. I know you mentioned you have like 4 coaches and all that. So like, let's get into that.
Yeah, I mean, out of college, we got married right out of college, and I got comfortable right out of college the moment you got married. And, like I said, I'm a trained engineer, so I had a desk job many, many years, brain intensive, sitting at the computer, not a lot of physical activity. Then I became a consultant, again, high stress, gravitate towards what most people gravitate towards, food and alcohol, and put on a lot of weight. And then COVID hit, and I've even put on more weight. And then during COVID, my son was born. And I found myself at a 41% body fat. And I can't play with my son because I'm so unfit, right? I can't even climb up the stairs without, having to catch my breath. I can't sleep at night because I developed sleep apnea. So I would stop breathing in the middle of the night. And I was just trying anything and everything. For years, I'd been trying to lose weight. It just wasn't working because, like I said earlier, there's a plethora of information out there, but too much information is not a good thing. And today eggs are good, tomorrow eggs are bad. Today milk is good, tomorrow milk is bad. Tomorrow this diet is good, tomorrow that diet is bad. What is somebody supposed to do? And I just found myself in that place that I didn't know. I tried this, I tried that, and I didn't know what I was doing. And ultimately, I got to a point where I said, I need to change things for good. And I kind of applied the same principle that I talk about in business. 2 things. Number one, when you want real results and you want them fast, you don't DIY them. You hire an expert. So I went and hired an expert. Why am I on YouTube trying to figure this out? Asking ChatGPT, hey, what is this? What is that? When there are people out there who are doing this every single day. I just have to find somebody who's good, who knows what they're doing, who I can trust, and then just follow what they ask me to do. Now, I can do that because I have done other hard things in my life which require discipline and motivation. So I'm not afraid of hard work, and I like working hard. I just need to know what to do, and in a way, I kind of found myself in the same place when I was starting my own business. I was smart. I was a hard worker. I just didn't know what to do. So I went there and I currently have 4 different coaches. And in the year and a half of this journey, I've hired and fired some coaches because some are good and some aren't, but that's okay. That's part of the journey because you want to get to a specific place in the goal of yours. And then you need to build a team around you who can help you do that. So I went from July 2022 to a 41% body fat to a 9.7% body fat in April. And I competed in my first ever men's physique competition and I won. So it's been an amazing ride for sure. Thank you.
Congrats, man. It's amazing. Something that really stood out for me in there was the fact that you want to work really hard. You want to accomplish this thing. So it's not a matter of work ethic or commitment to do this thing. It's like, there's so much information out there. What do I pick? What do I follow? I mean, if I follow the wrong one and then I commit for that for 6 months, then I got to start again. And so all these things is, and that's what, happens, in your journey, happen in your journey and the physical journey, but also, business and in all areas is the problem is not that there's lack of information. It's just, there's almost like too much information and too many voices, too much noise, and you don't know who to follow. So now what I call it is like, before it was like the era of information started. Oh, the information, it was available, the internet, I mean, it still is more than ever. But now we have come to this era of curation. It's how do people can, take content and curate it so it fits a specific type of person. And now it's like tailored for that ideal avatar, right? Like that avatar. Like so finding those people that will fit perfectly with you, it's like finding that someone that will give you the directions, will set the GPS for you, that now when it's just getting the work done, you already know where you're going, you know that they just follow the steps, you're gonna get there. Now it's just a matter of the dedication, that commitment of doing the work. But most people actually are willing to put in the work, to do a lot of work, as long as they know that it's gonna pay off, right? So there's the thing about entrepreneurship, and this happens with a lot of things, right? Like even in the body transformation, is sometimes we're not very like certain, like if it's gonna work. So that like, oh, like I'm uncertain about this. So that's the problem that like freezes us. But when you trust somebody, you see they have a track record, they have these things, you start trying it, it started to work for you. Now the work, most people are willing to really put a lot of work. It's just sometimes they don't even know where to go. So that's something that, I do strategic marketing for clients, and that's what I do. It's like I come in to help with the strategy, and it's kind of like, okay, let's do an evaluation first, let's do opportunity analysis, then it develop a plan, which becomes like the GPS, right? And set that up. So that's that when you said those things, I was like, that is something that got me thinking, because I think about this all the time, right?
Yeah, and you're 100% right. People are not lazy. I think we put labels on people way too fast. It's people want to work hard. People want to achieve things. We want to make more money. We want to create more impact. We want to be a better husband, a wife, whatever it is, a better dad, a better mom. But we don't know what to do. And there's only so many times, you get punched in the face and you can get back up, because life beats you down. Right? There are bills, there are responsibilities, there are relationships. I mean, everybody's struggling in some way or the other. So can we really blame someone when they have tried a lot and haven't gotten success, and they're at the verge of giving up? Right? Because also, like you said, we are surrounded in a society where there's plethora of information, but like you brought up, there's very little truth and honesty, right? Because truth and honesty is boring. It's useful and it's boring, but lies are sensational. So, when I was on my fitness journey and I was looking on YouTube and I'm watching all these videos, I mean, I won't take the name. I hired a very, very famous YouTube fitness person. And this person has millions of subscribers. And at this point, I hired this person like in January of this year, when I was going into my prep, because I needed a little bit extra push. And the person that appeared on these videos on YouTube trying to like say, oh, I have this thing that I know because I have this, I don't want to give it away, like I have this specialization. The person on the call was a completely different person. It was a charlatan, right? So the truth and honesty isn't there, because you can make it seem like you have some magical formula, but you don't. So again, for somebody who's really trying, trust is important. Honesty is important. And we as coaches, you are teaching strategic marketing, I'm teaching business. We need to follow up on that, because this is a responsibility that I take very seriously. We're not dream crushers. We're not misleaders, right? We're truth tellers.
I 100% agree. I mean, we're guides, right? We're not wizards. We can't just like, oh, you're gonna do these things, and people are quick to promise so many crazy things. And that's what I tell my clients all the time is, look, I have a customized, systematic approach to help you, or like, so we together, right? Because it's your company, we're going to identify the appropriate solutions for you, right? Like, I'm gonna help you find it, and I'm guiding you, but it's your company. Like, I can't just build the whole company. I'm here to do marketing. I put myself as a director of marketing or CMO, right? Chief Marketing Officer, not the CEO owner of the company, right? Like you still have to bring that uniqueness. Like what is that unique about you? And I'm going to help you test those things to make sure that we validate before we spend money on advertising dollars, which is something that I do that is very different than most people. Most people are like, oh, let's just do Facebook ads, let's do SEO, let's do these things, and we're gonna waste money for a little bit until we figure it out, and then we'll figure it out and then we'll hit it. It's like, well, there's ways to not have to do that. I mean, there's nowadays like DMs and emails, your network, blah blah blah. Like ask for your network, and you get 20 to 30 people on the phone. Make sure that you validate your assumptions first. And then like a couple people raise their hands, right? Because there's like, actually, while you're asking me these questions, like, I think you can help me. Can you help me? And then you're like, well, yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, let's do this other call. Boom, right? And that's something that I've learned in the last like year and some change, that I started doing the strategic marketing rather than public relations. That was, back then when we met. I was doing public relations, and now something that I still do. I mean, I didn't lose my connections or all that, but I expanded to do something bigger, which is now connecting the dots between marketing, operations, and profits, right? Because we need to make money so they can pay me, right? So I'm very invested in helping them making that money rather than just do my like public relations, right? So that's something that I resonated with you since we met. It's been like almost 2 years, right? Because it's like a year and a half or a little bit over. So it's crazy. Like we met, and then like shortly after you went into this journey, right?
Yeah. When you met me, I was struggling, and I was at the brink when I was like, I need to do something. I just didn't know what to do, And it took me a little. And we could go and hunt back the date of the podcast. I don't remember when it was, but it's probably after a couple of weeks of that. I said, okay, enough is enough. We need to do something about this.
Yeah, it was probably not even a month, because I mean we started, I think it was like on like June or something, I believe.
So I started July 17, 2022 is the date when I said let's do this.
So you see, like we did this in June, and then in July you're like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like I need to do these things, and now like you reappear with all these things, these transformations. I was like, who is this guy first? And I was like, Mark? What? This is Mark? I was like, oh my God, man. And I just commented, I was like, dude, let's catch up. I need to tell you my podcast, man, because I enjoyed our podcast a lot. And the first time, and there the focus was a lot on and the selling and how to make it that you're not even, you're not salesy. You don't have using like this techniques. You're not lying, right? Like this is a topic that we're talking here right now. It's just, look, I have something to help. I'm gonna communicate with you in a way that it's just to make you understand, because I really feel that duty of, look, this is something that I can help you, and I wanna help you, but not pushing, not salesy, not lying. And that's why like we bonded on that end, and I think we did a very good podcast on that. But then there was something missing, right? And it's funny because I took an extra year, but in the next, like on July of 2023 was when I started my transformation. Then I started getting a coach and started learning about. My door was like, I don't have kids, and like you was like your kid was like the thing that was like the lost straw for me. Was like, look, I felt like I needed to redefine the function of sex in my life, of my my well-being in general, my spirituality, all those things kind of piled up together. And I'm like, okay, business wise, I have all this knowledge, I have clients, I have these things, but I feel like there was something missing. I was like, I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel like what is missing in my relationship and in my spirituality, all that. And then I decided to start like with a coach. She got me into breath work first, and then pleasure practice. And then from there, like unpacking a bunch of trauma and a bunch of things. And that automatically got me into be better eating and all that stuff, because it's like, whoa, I'm cleaning myself. And I broke up with my girlfriend because it was something like I didn't see it going for. Like, I don't want to marry and have kids with this person, but I do want to marry and have kids. So automatically it was like, even though this is not a bad relationship, because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like I didn't see myself get married and having kids. So that's why, like, the sex thing, the spirituality, all these things, because I was like kind of feeling that of like there's something here, and I started going that journey, and now I changed my body, changed my mind, changed my soul, and it's been great. And I just want to keep going there. And it's amazing that we found each other again by being in a similar frequency, but in different parts of our life, right? Like different seasons, let's say.
Right? Isn't that crazy? I love it. I love it. What a great story.
Yeah, man. So I typically ask about actionable tips or advice for the audience, giving your expertise, and I do it typically way sooner. But right now, it's just the conversation was so good. But now let's get into that part, which is what are some actionable tips or advice that you have for the audience, given your expertise?
In specific to the body transformation thing that you're talking about, or business in general?
Give advice in a holistic way. So however you prioritize it, because I have my way, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say it like how it worked for me, which is entrepreneurship and getting fit. The foundations of the step are same. There's a very famous quote that says, a healthy person has 1,000 wishes and a sick person only has one, which is to not be sick anymore. So I found myself in a place where I was very successful in my business endeavors, but I don't have a full life, right? I have a marginalized life. I have a life of quiet desperation where I cannot do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, right? So for anybody who's looking to get started, whether it's business or health, the number one thing is first is commitment, because commitment will get you started with something, and consistency will allow you to finish it. So there has to be something at stake. You will see, people will say for years that I hate my job, I need to get a new job, but they never quit the job, right? But then all of a sudden there's a layoff, and in 3 weeks they have a new job, right? Because there was something bad that happened for which the stakes were really high. Then now they can't pay their rent, right? So we find that courage, we find that energy, even though for years the person couldn't find a job, right? And I've known about that trait in humanity, especially in me, right? So whenever I've needed to make a meteoric shift in my life, I have created some type of an urgency, which is exactly what I did when I was doing my business. I was a very, very successful consultant in New York City, making so much money that it was like I was shaking when I just quit the job. No plan, nothing, because you work so hard, so many years, working 70, 80 hours, ridiculous amount of hours traveling and doing all that. And then you just walk away from it. I needed to walk away from it because if I would have stayed there, it was such a nice cushion, cozy place. I'd never started my business, right? So the same principle I applied here where I put something at stake. And in July of 2022, like I said, I decided when I was at 41% body fat that I want to get to a 10% body fat and compete for my first competition, 8% for the second one, and 6% for the third one. I came in at 9.7 for the first one. Second one is May 18, so I'll let you know how that goes. And third one is June 29. And what was at stake was I had to be on stage with people looking at me, judging me, and my body, right? And this is at a place of a guy, coming from a guy who has 41% body fat. I could have been the Pillsbury Doughboy mascot. You know what I mean? So I needed something big to push me. So for anybody who's looking to get started and wants to make a big change in their life, you got to find something that is at stake. There is something, if it's too easy and it's just like, oh, it's a nice to have, chances are it's not going to happen. So yeah. And then once you create that goal, you obviously need the right knowledge, because I think I said this in the last podcast, and it's one of the favorite things I say, that if I want to take this wall down, I can either push against it all day long or I can take a sledgehammer, right? It's not the desire to take the wall down that is different. It's the tool that I have in hand, right? And a lot of us who are looking to start a business or lose weight or get fit or whatever our goals are, have a healthy relationship, right? It's not the desire or the lack of it that's the problem. It's the tools that we're equipped with, right? Because nobody's born with any knowledge. We just acquire it somehow. So for me, I needed to get an expert. I needed to get somebody who knew what they were doing and who had invested their entire lives doing this like I have done in building businesses, right? So step one, have something at stake. Step two, find somebody you can trust. And that can take time. I told you, hired and fired a lot of coaches, right? It's just what it is, right? I have a very specific goal. Sometimes the person might be good, but their goals are not aligned, right? So my goal was, I need to do this within 2 years. And I had a great coach who was like, yeah, it's not going to, why are you so, rushing and this and that and slow down? And it was all good, but it just, energy was a mismatch. Right? I'm a gung-ho type of person. I need to go fast. Right? So have something at stake. Number two, find somebody who can truly help you, who is honest with you. Honesty is a two-way street. Right? We live in a society where we only want to be honest. We only want to be honest when someone has something nice to say to us. Right?
Well, it is so true, man. And I hate this because it's like I feel like bad when I'm coming with the best intentions to just say the truth and people get triggered. And I'm like, look, I'm just like, I have the best intentions here. Like, this might be uncomfortable, but I truly think that this is going to help you. And especially if it's a client or something that a friend that asked for help or something, like, hey, you asked for help. Like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, sometimes, you are the problem and you got to be okay with that and to work on that. Right. Like, it's just, people are so sensitive nowadays that it's the truth. It's too much. I'm like, what? It's the truth. Like, deal with. If it's too much, that means you have to do a lot of work. Inner work.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm totally vibing with you right now because that's exactly who I am. Like, all my life, all I wanted was somebody to tell me the truth. Truth, and then tell me what to do. And I'm 37 years old. I've accomplished a few good things in my life. And I'm telling you, it's been so hard to find these people. Because we just in a society where everybody wants to please everybody. Right? And I understand there's a difference between telling the truth in a way to bring somebody down versus telling the truth in a way to build somebody up. So for me, I needed to hear the truth. I needed coaches to tell me, you're doing this, you're not doing this, you're doing this well, you're not doing this well. Even right now, at my, I've had a great transformation, but I have big goals, right? And when you get up to that level now, it's not just about a dad with a six-pack ab. Now you're, doing with professionals, competing with professionals who are also at that level. So, there are aspects of my body that are not there where I need to be, and I need somebody to tell me that. I can't just keep riding the wave of the success that I had a couple of weeks ago, right? And then finally, the final tip, the third thing is consistency, right? So number one was putting something at stake. Number two, finding somebody who can truly help you and who is honest with you and your personality matches. And number three is consistency, right? You have to become the type of person who finishes what you start. And I would love to say that I was born that way. And I would love to say that, that's how I am all the time. No, intrinsically, I think I'm a lazy person, just like everybody else, right? I'm just truthful to myself about it, right? I just know that these are my weaknesses and I'm not perfect, but I just have to keep on moving. And you do those three things, therein lies the success to anything, because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you can do that and apply that in one aspect of your life, you can apply that in every aspect of your life.
I completely agree. I was reading a book yesterday. It was in Spanish, actually, but it's called Los Cuatro Acuerdos, which is like the 4 agreements. And it's and like the fourth one is always do everything to the best of your abilities, right? Because if not, then if it's not even worth doing, then don't do it. But if you're gonna do it, then do it to the best of your abilities. And that's it's like a commandment almost, right? Like, it's like if you put that in your life and as a requirement, it's like you either do it great or don't. And then that eliminates a lot of things that you're not willing to then put out everything. And it opens up then so you can put a lot of your energy into the things that you are truly willing to put your best efforts towards that, right?
Yeah.
This has been a great conversation, like always, and I want to add to is that based on especially that first advice that you gave, it is it reminded me of a quote that I heard. It's like, you don't get what you want, you get what you must have. If you don't put yourself in the situation, like you said, like it's there's something big at stake. Like, you must have it. period. It's not like you want it. It's not like, oh my God, I think I deserve it or whatever. No, it's like, I must have it. Right? Like I believe, to have that belief that it's like, look, I believe that this is something that I am going to accomplish, that I am already working towards to, right? And like, I must have this. Like when you put that yourself in that situation, it's incredible what you can do when you have, or humans can do, right? When you have no option, right? You have no option other than this. You sign the agreement. That's it with yourself. There's no negotiating with yourself. That's it, right? And that's when the consistency comes into play too, right? So that quote alone, I think it's like very powerful for people to remember.
And that quote reminded me of another one, which is that we don't change things we tolerate. We don't change things that we tolerate. If you have learned to tolerate by just living paycheck to paycheck, you've gotten used to that lifestyle, you're not going to push forward hard enough to change and break out of it.
If the pain...
I had tolerated being overweight for so long. I'd learned to live with it. So the desire to change was very hard, right? So I think, we all know being patient is a great thing, but this is an example of too much patience is bad, right? Sometimes you have to be impatient and you just have to not tolerate certain things and just say, that's it. I'm not tolerating this version of me anymore. That could have happened to, I don't know the full story, but I know you went through some relationship changes and you moved to Puerto Rico. Maybe there was some of that in there, but at some point you get
I can tell you, I can give you that confirmation. Definitely was.
There you go. At some point in life, we all find ourselves in places and we ask ourselves, how did we get here?
Exactly. Right? I was there.
And then we don't know what to do. But it's the person who says, oh, you know what? XYZ happened. I'm here now. And I have learned to tolerate it, but I'm no longer tolerating it anymore. I'm going to do what it takes to get out of there. And that is the rise of the phoenix, right? Because the phoenix rises from its ashes. So it doesn't matter if we got burned down. I've been burned down so many times in my life, right?
Me too.
You have, we know so many people who have, but the ones that rise are the ones that says, I'm not tolerating it anymore. And that could be in health, fitness, relationship, business, whatever we want to do.
Yeah, that comes to the pain of staying in the same place has to be bigger than the pain of moving. So that's why people don't get on that uncomfortable situation that will force them to put like something big at stake. And sometimes that could be like do something physically that you're like putting a fire under you so you can move. And other times it's just perspective, right? It's like, look, now that I look at it differently, now I decide to move. And for this, I want to say that I had this, so now I'm like single, right? Like I'm dating and things. And sometimes there's like, again, I got to find myself in situations that are, okay, they're not bad, but they're also like, I don't see myself. I'm not going to marry this person. I'm not going to have kids with this person. I mean, I can have sex with them, have time with them and all that stuff. But then I started to think, look, I don't want to go back to the situation that I was, first of all, but then to kind of give it like a name, I call it, I was like, I don't know, I was reading or seeing something that got me to think that what I was doing was a cost of opportunity. So at the time, I was thinking, well, while I keep looking for my wife and the mother of my kids and all that, well, I can just have these things here that might not be the thing, but I mean, it gets me entertained and like, I'm adding value and all that. So I'm trying to, be kind and have that energy. But then I was like, wow, like all this energy that I'm spending on these things, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm spending a little bit here, but I'm saving other energy for here. But then my future wife, the future mother of my kids wants my full energy, right? So like that cost of opportunity of that time, that energy that I am putting into this other person that I know is not going anywhere is just costing me that opportunity of I could have been outside in a place where then I meet that person or working towards because I met her and now I'm like nurturing or whatever, right? Like, so that's when I came to that realization, I cut that person like that day. I was like, you know what? Nothing against you, great person, all that. Like, we know that this is not going anywhere because we have talked about that too. It was just kind of like, and we were trying to go riding the wave, and I was like, you know what, like, just I don't want to keep riding this wave anymore. Like, that's it. Like, I just think it's a cost of opportunity. And now it's just, look, I haven't been even dating anybody or anything. It's just like just focusing on myself and really focusing. Like, when I find somebody, I'm going to give them attention and I want to give all my energy. If that's not the one, right? Like, it happens when you find a coach or whatever, then you go fire that one, right, so to speak, and then go to the next one. And then, but then full energy, full commitment, consistency, all the advice that you gave in this podcast too. And that applies to everything in life. So that's why I love this conversation, because I talk about holistic growth all the time. Because if you're misaligned somewhere, that just misaligned you everywhere, right? And that's a mess. So that's why focusing on, like, not just the business. Because look at Mark. Mark had so much success already that you could have just stay there and be like, just riding the wave, right? But no, you decided, look, I'm gonna put myself uncomfortable. Decided to do your business, and then that ended up having you to force yourself to work on your body. And then I'm guessing you can confirm this, it probably has helped you spiritually, mentally, in all kinds of ways, right?
Oh yeah. I'm a completely different person now.
I can feel it. I can feel it. I just gotta say, your energy was good, but now it's accelerating. It's just like so much. I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm just, my relationships have changed. It's not just about the man you look in the mirror. That's just aesthetics. That's good. Looks good. Abs look good. Biceps look good. But that's superficial, right? My relationships have changed. How I interact with people have changed. My energy levels have changed, right? There's so many things that have changed about me. One thing that you brought up about, which really resonated with me, is that you said, when you're looking to trying to find the mother of your kids, the future mother of your kids, she needs that full energy, right? And this is such a complicated concept that I think we miss, because in this, I feel like everybody is looking to be productive, but productivity doesn't get you anywhere. It's about being intentional. And being intentional is about time management and energy management, right? So for you, being able to contain a certain level of energy within you and keep that aura around you, something about internet connection going on. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can't hear you, but I don't know what happened with the internet connection.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, but what I was saying was, that the time management, energy management, that's what you're talking about. Now you're intentional about going and finding that one person that you want to spend the rest of your lives with and who's going to be the mother of your kids, right? So that's wonderful. I love that.
Thank you, Mark. I mean, this has been such a great conversation, and I know there's gonna be people that want to look you up, connect with you. So, what people would be ideal to connect with you, and how can people find you?
Yep. So my website is Prosperity M, as in Mark. My name is Mark. ProsperityM.com. And if you're looking for business advice, business help, there's a lot of tools there. I have a program there, but I give out a lot of information for free that I think can help you get started, especially if you're looking to get started. You don't need to buy a program. There's a lot of things that are out there that you can just get started with. Given the journey that I've had with fitness and how it has changed my life at 37, I have, because I said, earlier that I'm always looking to help myself in the past, right? And this transformation that I had came at a very late age, at 37. Would have been nice if it was 25. And I spent a lot of money, and I spent a lot of trial and error, and a lot of pain went through, right? I mean, months and months and months of not being able to sleep through the night, and sleep apnea and stuff like that. So that kind of motivated me to create a product as well, under Prosperity M/fitness, where everything that I have learned, having hired and competed and lost all this weight and built all this muscle, put it all together in a very inexpensive program and just put it out there so that if somebody is out there who's listening to this, who feels like they just want to be the next version of themselves, it's there for you to use it. We're going to launch it on May 1st. And if it's useful to people, it's useful to people, you know?
Can't wait to check it out. And, let me see if we can like promote it, some stuff, like we'll probably put it in the description, right? Like, cause it's kind of coming up soon. So we definitely, I mean, I'm all about, like I said before, that holistic growth, and that includes the physical, and obviously like the like I said earlier, the spiritual, mental, and relationships, extremely important too, right? So you touched on that. So thank you, Mark, for having this time. I was eager to catch up with you, and I knew that was gonna be a great conversation. So I wanted to have this conversation recorded and share it with my audience and as many people as possible.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
So this was Mark Talukdar and Foo. This is us signing off. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.